Cinema filmmaker Maciek Hamela's Looking Back, about efforts to rescue civilians trapped in war, is a gripping testimony to the plight of millions of Ukrainians displaced by Russia's invasion. As award-winning documentary opens in French cinemas on Wednesday, Polish director hopes it will remind viewers of what is at stake in Ukraine and suffering of refugees from all conflict. When Russian tanks entered Ukraine in February 2022, sparking a mass exodus of refugees, Warsaw-based filmmaker Maciek Hamela joined thousands of Poles rushing to the border to offer whatever help he could. Over the course of a few days, he drove a minibus across Ukraine, collecting civilians trapped by the conflict and taking them to safety. Hamela soon realized that intimacy of the van provided a setting for poignant testimonies about human cost of war, and she began filming these conversations. The result is gripping, low-key portrait human displacement, shot over a 6-month period and covering tens of thousands kilometers across war-torn country. As title of film suggests, Hamela's in-car camera focuses on passengers in back of 8-passenger minibus and records their distress as they move away from conflict, leaving their sons, husbands and homes behind. Some passengers sit silently, stunned. Others tell stories of destruction, torture and death. There are also joyful moments when they open up to share their hopes and aspirations for the day the war will end. See, well, come back here when the war is over. Right, Mom? A little girl exclaims, admiring the mighty Dnieper River, mistaking it for the sea. I absolutely promise. The tired mother replies. At one stage, Hamela's van turns into a makeshift ambulance to evacuate a Congolese woman with life-threatening injuries. Other travelers include surrogate mother pregnant with a Westerner's child, an old farmer whose eyes fill with tears as he talks about the beloved cow he left behind, and little girl who was too shocked to speak anymore. Another boy is playing game of rock paper scissors, but to make sure he wins, he swaps gun for a gun. As result, the French name of film is Pierre. Feuille, Pistolet. Sometimes the camera pans out across a desolate landscape, revealing burnt vehicles, gutted buildings, and ominous dangers. The Polish-French-Ukrainian production premiered earlier this year at Cannes Sidebar, a parallel section dedicated to independent cinema, and has since appeared at several festivals. France 24 spoke with Hamela on Sidelines Cannes Film Festival and on eve of film's release in France. Following outbreak Israel-Hamas war. France 24, can you tell us about first days of the war and what prompted you to cross border into Ukraine? As soon as the war started, I started collecting money for the Ukrainian army in Warsaw. Few people believed that Ukraine could survive the war. There was a mass influx of refugees suddenly descending on the border. It was freezing cold and there were no preparations for